This is Matt Russell, and welcome to the Daily FX Forum.
So here are the 5 pairs that I will be discussing this evening: the Euro Pound, the Aussie Kiwi, the Pound Swiss, the Euro Swiss, as well as the Euro Aussie. I also wanted to mention tonight I will be covering the German IFO release at about 4 o'clock, 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can go to the front page of dailyfx.com, and on the right-hand side you can click right here where it says the full story, and that will bring up the next page where you can register for email alerts for the event if you're interested in watching me trade that news event live. So back to the charts. The first chart is the Euro Pound. The short trade from either 88.10 or 88.23 continues. I would keep that stop at 88.75. Prices did venture up slightly above that 88 figure, but have reversed right now. So I would continue again just to stay in that trade. Looking at this, you can argue A, B, C, and this might be a 1-2. So there's a chance that prices could completely collapse at this point. So if you are flat, I might look to enter here again on the short side. Would be short 87.80 with a stop. Again, keep it at 88.75, and I will update, of course, any closes above that 88.40 area. I would not be as bearish. The next chart is the Aussie Kiwi and the short trade from 127.90. If you entered that trade, you were stopped out at 128.60. As I mentioned during the past several reports, just looking at this chart in my mind's eye, it looks like this is a sideways consolidation pattern, and we have an impulsive move to the downside here, a move from roughly 130 down to 108. So this could be a very large 1-2, and if that is the case, then these highs over here should not be exceeded. The highs are about 129.70. So I do like short trades here. The only issue is prices are a little bit too far away to justify a favorable risk to reward trade. So I might put in entry orders. It would be short 128.75 with a stop at 130.75, and that's just a catastrophic stop. I will update that if it is triggered during tonight's session. The next chart is the Pound Swiss, and again, we're just trading the Euro Pound. The Pound Swiss has been acting as the inverse of the Euro Pound, so I'm just going to stay on the sidelines. The Euro Swiss, if you recall, during the past several reports, we had some long trades against the low of this doji candle right here, about 46.34. The entries were 146.50, 146.55, and 146.60 respectively, each with stops at 146.25. If you did enter those trades, you were stopped out, but again, it was a very small loss, and in my mind, it was still worth the risk. But I'm just going to stay on the sidelines now, as I don't see anything really favorable setting up. The next chart is the Euro Aussie. If you recall, we had the short trade from 158.75. We covered the first lot for a roughly 300 pip gain, covered the second lot for just over a 600 pip gain. And again, as I mentioned during the last report, I like the formation of the doji here, and I would have a bullish bias against the low of that doji, which is 150.62. I mentioned during the last report entries at 151 with a stop at 150.40. I still like that trade idea right now, so if you are flat, I might look to enter right now 151.07 with a stop at 150.40. The only issue I see right now is ideally I'd like to see prices would have bounced already off that doji low, but again, technically everything's still in place right now, so I still would have a bullish bias against that low. Again, my name is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening, and please stay tuned for a preview of the Daily FX Forums. I want to take this opportunity to formally welcome you all to the Daily FX Forums. I want to go through the process of how I personally access the forums and how maybe you at home, if you want to access the forums in the future, might do so. The first thing you would do is go to www.dailyfx.com, and that will bring up, obviously, dailyfx.com, and usually there on the upper right hand corner I'll go ahead and click on where it says forum, and that will bring up the first page of the forums. And this view, I personally don't use this view, but this view actually shows you the most recent posts on all the threads within the different sections, and a little detail about those posts, so you can read through and see if there's something catches your interest. But personally, I go ahead and just click on forums and view them in the more traditional sense. Now, these are different threads within the forum. There's a section on education, such as Daily FX course instructor tips, which would be good for newer traders, and then for more advanced traders. And I just want to go ahead, personally, the way I use the forums is I would go through the individual threads, just looking for trade ideas, maybe looking at charts, looking at certain lines that maybe I didn't put up on my chart, but another trader might have put up on their chart. I tend to, shy away from using direct trade recommendations from other forum members, but it helps me to sort of even out my analysis, make sure that I'm seeing things with the right mind in terms of I might be missing stuff that other traders can see, and that's my personal way of using the forum. Every trader is going to be a little bit different in how they use it. So if you want to ask questions, if you want to become an active participant of the members, you would have to go ahead and register. So that's what I'm going to go through now, is the registration process. So assuming you're brand new to the forums, or maybe you've been here a few times and you're not really sure how it works, so I just want to walk through again the registration process. This would be the front page where you would access, or the previous page. You'd have the same little box here on the left hand side. Obviously, my username and password are already filled out here, but assuming you're a new member, you would click on where it says register, and that will bring up the registration page. If you give me one moment here while my browser loads. And actually first we're going to have some terms of service and DailyFX forum rules. I do suggest reading through the forum rules. Obviously, profanity and spam and things like that are not allowed, but it also gives you insight on how to use the forum and how different traders can use it, in terms of their individual needs. So you would go down to the bottom there. You'd click on where it says I have read all the rules, and then you would go ahead to the register, the formal registration page, and that will bring up here. And you can go ahead and select the username, and how about we'll use 4x, and that name is already in use, so maybe add a few more x's there. Again, it really, your individual username is up to you, and you go ahead and fill in your password, your email address. Now, the most difficult aspect of registration for the DailyFX forums will be figuring out these letters in the box here. Now, I'm a semi-intelligent person, but I have a very difficult time figuring out which letters and numbers to use. Now there is a reason for this madness. It helps with security, but I would suggest just going ahead and keep on clicking that refresh image until something comes through that you can actually identify and see. Then you can go ahead and enter your birthday, but you can decide whether or not to display that to other forum members. And then also, if you were referred by somebody, you can enter that information there. The time zone, that should default to your computer, but you should double check and make sure. And then you can opt in, and I would suggest opting in for these emails in terms if the administrators want to go ahead and send you some notices about the forum, and then you would complete registration. Now what happens is they would send you an email to the email address that you put up here, and that email will include a link, and all you would have to do is go ahead and click on that link, and that link will bring you inside the forum, and you would now be a member of the DailyFX forums. Again, this is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening.